Sometimes writing students can have a difficult time understanding exactly what the differences are between a sentence and a paragraph and an essay. That may seem a little odd to you because everybody gets that there's a length difference. An essay is obviously longer than a paragraph and certainly longer than a sentence. But beyond that, sometimes the differences can be a little hazy. So in this video, I just want to quickly take you through a tour of these three basic formats of writing and not only show you what the differences are, but show you how these things relate to one another. Now, most of us have probably heard that a sentence is the expression of a single idea, and that's true. If it tries to do more than that, we often call it a run-on sentence. It's trying to do too much work. It's trying to hold too many ideas within its structure, and it just can't do that. Sometimes we use compound or complex sentence structures to sort of squeeze several ideas into one idea. That's true. But we can't go around expressing too many ideas in a single sentence. It's just not big enough. The structure can't hold it. So we use a sentence to express a single idea. Let's say you were asked to please state your name. And you could say, my name is Mark, or my name is Jerry. Now, that is an expression of a single idea, and we would use a sentence to hold that idea. Now, here's a sentence. It's actually a compound sentence. So there are two ideas, and we're joining them up into a single one. My friend Jerry had a hard time memorizing the names of countries, so our teacher called him a brainless wonder. Notice that a sentence is essentially a statement. We are asserting something to be true. Now, a statement like this is an observable fact, but sometimes we make statements that are not quite so readily accepted by the reader as a truth. And so for that purpose, we need a different kind of writing structure. And this is where we get into the role or the job of a paragraph. The paragraph doesn't just express a single thought. A paragraph expresses a single argument. That is, it uses several ideas to support a main idea. That main idea we often call a claim, and in the paragraph it is referred to as the topic sentence. It is supported by a number of warrants or reasons, and they connect the claim to the individual pieces of evidence. Now, each of these individual ideas, every piece of evidence, each warrant, and certainly the claim, these are all expressed in a sentence of their own. The argument that a paragraph can answer, however, needs to be fairly small. The kind of argument that we might put together if you were asked to say, introduce yourself and tell us why you're taking this class. And in a paragraph, you would respond by saying, hi, my name is Mark, and I am taking this class for several reasons, which you would then lay out. If we look back at our example with my friend Jerry, we can see how this sentence can find itself being used in a paragraph. The main idea of this paragraph, seen here in the topic sentence, is that Mrs. Nevis, my 11th grade geography teacher, was the worst teacher I've ever had. Now, that sentence is somewhat debatable. As readers, we would want to see some reasons and some evidence before we would want to necessarily agree with the writer that Mrs. Nevis was in fact the worst teacher. And so that's where the paragraph comes in, is to provide that support and that clarity to help the reader understand how the writer has come to this conclusion. Now, sometimes a paragraph is just too small to contain the kind of complex argument that we might need to make in order to support a claim. And that's where we turn to the essay. The essay, because it can support a single main idea by using groups of ideas in individual paragraphs, it can create a very thorough, a very complex argument and still all be heading in a single direction. So if you were asked to introduce yourself and discuss your reasons for taking the university program that you're in that case you would want to turn to the essay, because that main idea can't just be supported by one group of ideas. You may need to have a number of groups of ideas, maybe experiences from your childhood, experiences from your middle years in school, and perhaps your experiences in the workplace. Maybe these various experiences all come together to lead you into the program that you're taking. Or in the case of our example with Mrs. Nevis, perhaps this could be just one paragraph in an essay that discusses all the people who influenced me to become a teacher. In this week's lecture on the writing process, on generating ideas, I discuss with you some of the issues around assignment length and parameters and time frame. And that's where understanding the difference between a sentence and a paragraph and an essay can become really important as you make some decisions around what this assignment is actually going to look like. If you're trying to figure out essentially whether you need to write a paragraph or an essay, here's a couple of questions that are really important for you to answer. One is, how narrow is my scope? How broad is the topic about which I will be writing? The writing prompt, introduce yourself and tell us a little about why you are taking this course. That's a pretty narrow scope. That's only going to require maybe 5 to 12 sentences. On the other hand, discussing your reasons for enrolling in the university program that you're in, that's a much larger topic, a much broader scope. So that's not going to so easily fit into a single paragraph. You're going to have to use several different paragraphs to prove that point. Another important question here is the how much evidence do I need? That's really going to tell you as well in terms of whether you should choose a paragraph or choose an essay. The type of evidence and the amount of evidence and how you're going to group that evidence together should determine whether you are going to need to be writing a paragraph or an essay. Okay, so I hope that clears things up at least a little as you head into this week. If you have any questions or comments, please email me. Bye for now.